Hello everyone, MP Hitter here, and welcome back to my Newcomer's Guide for Elden Ring. This is part 5. So in the last episode, we ended up making it through a few things in Lower Limgrave, and then we made it over to the Weeping Peninsula, did a few things over there. And then we ended up heading up to the gate front, headed north, and then we headed east along this path. We took out the Tibia Mariner boss fight, talked to D, and we got our first death root, which we're actually about to use. In the process of talking to D, he did alert us to Garank, who will take the death root, and he gave us a direction to follow to the Sending Gate. So we're actually going to be heading there, which will teleport us to the northeastern section of Caelid. This red area here is Caelid, which is a much higher level requirement, so we are going to be going there, but we're going to be going there mostly to collect some of the final items before we kind of begin tackling the Limgrave chunk of the game. So, we're going to head in here. And because of where we have reached, if we rest here, Melina is actually going to approach us.
Forgive me to determine if you have. It seems torrent, whereas there is, but I can take gathering.
So we actually aren't going to go to the round table hold yet. We'll do that near the end of this episode. For now, just hit B and that'll back off. You can always go back to it whenever you rest at any grace from this point on. Now we're going to head over to Garank. Talk to him. Go ahead and give over the death root that you've got.
Tarnished, I shall graffiti.
And he's going to give you a couple of items. So we first got a new seal. So if you are a magic user, this is going to be a really good seal for this point in the game. So if you're playing as, for example, the Confessor, this would be great to use. It does require a little bit of strength, requires a little bit of faith, but is otherwise really good, especially if you're planning on using the bestial incantations in this game. Otherwise, the other item that we got is actually an item that's going to help us with locating death root in the future. So it will tremble whenever we are close to death root. With that, however, we've given him the only piece of it that we've got, so we're going to go ahead and exit. This thing in the front of us is a boss. We are going to just go around him for now. Again, Caelid is a pretty dangerous place. So we're following this path. We're going to pick up another golden seed. Here they touch on sorceries and incantations. So we need to get across that bridge, but we're not going to be doing it with that dragon there. So I'm going to grab this grace, and then we're actually going to head back north and east, going around here. So as you head south here, you'll notice there's another bridge there. We basically want to kind of hug the side here until we find a way to get down. That should be fine. And now we're going to head across the bridge. On the ground, there are little things that can poison you. This, by the way, is one of the knights cavalry that we do not want to fight yet, because it is nighttime. Alright, so we've reached Len's Rise, and this is another memory stone tower. Let's go ahead and hop on Torrent, and then we're going to climb up the top here, hop off, and we're going to drop just right here. Let yourself fall. Now there's a route down as well as a route up. However, we don't want to kill the enemy that's at the bottom of here yet. So for now, we're going to head up. And there's going to be an elevator here. So again, another memory stone. This is going to be useful if you are a sorcerer or incantation user. Otherwise, we're going to head back down. Alright, so what I'm going to show you now is actually going to be a farming route. So if you're having trouble with this game, and you can get here, you can farm. So as you go down this path, a ball is going to spawn. Jump out of its way. Make sure you watch as it enters the hole. You're going to get 2,000, almost 2,000. And then we can head back to the Grace. Rest, and we can do it again. If you kill the enemy that's at the bottom of this tower, you will stop that process from happening. And you will not be able to farm that. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and take this time around up. We have some of these sarcophagi to grab. Then we're going to take the path here towards the Erd Tree. When you see lightning strike, it'll create items on the ground, which are for crafting. So you can see that some stuff happened here, apparently. This is some environmental storytelling. And avoid the putrid avatar off to the left. Continuing to follow the path. I'll grab a few level ups. And our goal at this point is going to be to reach the map fragment there. So just to go around the dragons, you don't need to worry about them right now. More dragons. Again, not going to worry about them for now. So we got ourselves the map fragment. We're going to keep heading west. And you'll see a shack up here. These giant dogs, by the way, these things are a pain to deal with. I would avoid them. Just go around them. And we have the isolated merchant's shack.
Well, it's been how can I?
So this guy has some dragon wound grease, which is good against dragons. He's got some crafting abilities. He's got lost ashes of war, which allow you to duplicate ashes of war. Something else that he has, though, is the beast repellent torch. So certain beasts are weak to fire. I'm actually going to go ahead and buy one. And then we also have the samurai gear, if you want it.
Have a safe Jew.
So now we have gotten the map fragment. We're going to go ahead and head back. This is where the route splits. To grab another grace. So this is going to take us, if we keep heading west, to kind of the boundary. There's basically a boundary right here that we can kind of jump over, which is this ravine. And right here is basically the smallest section, I think, that is here. So we can basically make the leap from one side of this place to the other. All right, so we've made the leap. Ow. And we're going to keep heading south until we reach the firewall. And we're going to cross it and we're going to follow it. So south is going to take us along the path that will eventually get us the other map fragment. North is going to take us to a weapon that we want, the Great Sword. You want to look like Guts from Berserk? This will be the way to go. Thankfully, there's a race right outside of the area in question. So the caravan was apparently attacked by these things, so we're going to try to get the item out of the back of the caravan. These ravens suck. Alright, it's far enough away that we can get that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and head back south. And we're in kind of the final stretch of getting upgrades to the starter weapons in order to get you prepared for what's next. So these enemies are kind of annoying, especially the ones with staves. Just avoid them. You can see it, by the way, in the distance down here.
Welcome, dear customer.
Vendors sell stuff.
How you please? I'm hungry.
So this guy's not got a whole lot of stuff. They just have arrows and fire arrows. Otherwise, amongst all these swords is another brace. And then we're going to get back on the path and keep following it. So off on the right, we've got the Caelid Waypoint Ruins. And if you're interested, there's actually a pretty nice katana in there, which is the Meteoric Ore Blade. I actually opted not to put it into the walkthrough at this phase because getting down there is a little treacherous. There's a bunch of enemies that are basically blocking the door that leads to it. But if you want to try for it, it is a katana that scales on strength, dexterity, and intelligence. It also has blood loss buildup. So this is a dragon. That's obviously a boss. We don't want to fight that. So here's our map. And we got another vendor here. One sells cracked pots, stone sword keys, another nomadic cookbook. Again, some decent starting gear. So now we're going to go south for a moment, and then we're going to go north over here. So avoid the raven on your left. And we're going to get another golden seed. This is going to allow us to get our 8th crimson flask. We're going to head down here. Be aware of enemies off to your right. So you do not want to get off of your horse here. This is Scarlet Rot. But stay in the Scarlet Rot, just along the edges on the left-hand side. And you're going to see a Grace. So this is the Aeonia Swamp Shore Grace. Actually, we'll go ahead and get our charge for a flask. So in this building is one of the best staffs in the game. These guys are sometimes in different locations, but either way, we may have to kill them to actually get in there and get the item. So they can give you Scarlet Rot. Again, Scarlet Rot is basically just a type of poison that will take a huge chunk of your health off very quickly. Anyway, here's the meteorite staff. Pick that up. Make sure to grab the golden rune there too. And then we're going to head over to this other building. You'll see the butterflies next to it. And then we're going to head over to this other building over here, and we've got an underground passage. So this is going to get us the Rock Sling. Really good sorcery. But with that, we're going to head back over to the Aeonia Swamp Shore. And now we're going to head to the Round Table Hold. So go ahead and tell Melina that we're cool with heading to the Round Table Hold.
Very well. Let my hand.
Alright, so now we're at Round Table Hold. This place is kind of like Firelink Shrine in the Dark Souls games. It's kind of a hub area that a lot of NPCs gather at. A lot of stuff happens here. Go around the room, we'll talk to people. This is Corin.
I teach and explore so that one day ensuring. By the way, you do most time you are well.
Go ahead and talk to him. He will let you study incantations.
May the golden or
This is D, of course.
owing, I think, your power.
You can gain a couple of these, a couple more incantations. We can progress his storyline as well by talking to him. This is Dialos.
Well, the honor of... By the way, she's my servant. Take your eyes off if you find her. Be sure she's a servant. She's been my companion. Count, honestly. Be sure
Talk to him until he repeats himself.
Honestly.
Oh, this is... I can't remember very well. It is...
And this is Gideon, ever the jerk.
I love you.
One of the NPCs that popped up during the intro. Anyway, next to Dialos is an area that seemingly has nothing in it. Eventually, we'll have some NPCs out here. In addition, you see all that blood down there. That's because there is an invasion down there. We're not going to do any invasions quite yet, though we are going to do one at the very end of this episode. But I would not recommend doing that one yet. So that is that is immediately to the left of Dialos. And then the other side, on the far left of Dialos, talk to this guy, and you'll get a gesture. What do you want? Eventually we will be able to get in here. For now, though, we are limited in what we can do in this place. Walk over here, and this is the Twin Maiden Husks. So if you kill any of the NPCs in the game, then you don't lose the ability to buy their stuff. What happens is they'll drop a bell, and then you can take that bell over to the Twin Maiden Husks. And then you can buy all of the gear from the vendors in question. While I'm not planning on killing any of the major NPCs of the game that sell stuff, that is part of some of the things that you can do. You can kill basically anybody in the wild. You can't kill anybody here, though. Anyway, they have another memory stone. So again, if you're a caster, go ahead and buy that. Stone Sword keys. They've got some early starting gear as well. These are multiplayer items. They allow you to change your appearance to hide who you are. Another place that we don't yet have access to. We will a little bit later, though. So on the far opposite side, here we have Hugh. He is a armory person, kind of like Andre in the Dark Souls games. So he can strengthen your armaments. He can he can apply Ashes of War. He can duplicate Ashes of War if you have lost Ashes of War that you purchased. You can sell him stuff. You can also ask him about his story.
No great my being. Besides, despite my decides,
In general, by the way, I would not worry about strengthening your shields. For the most part, I would worry about strengthening your primary weapon. We've got one more weapon that we're going to grab here in a few minutes, and that's basically going to kind of get us our starting gear that we're going to stick with. But if there's anything here that you want to utilize, go ahead and start using it now. Otherwise, we've got another door that we don't currently have access to right now. So as we unlock areas of the game, we will unlock areas here as well. Down here, by the way, is an opportunity to use Stone Sword keys. So we got a crossbow and some bolts. Pretty decent crossbow. This requires 2 more, which we don't currently have. So if you want to get that, you can. If you want to conserve them, you can. We can buy plenty of them right now. And then this right here is going to end up opening up once we kill the enemy down in that area that we saw all the blood. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and head back up and head in here. This is Fia, the deathbed companion. She was in the introduction.
Do you think where I come?
You can let her hold you. However, they sneakily try to hide the effect of what actually happens here.
You are.
So you just lost some of your health, and you get Baldachin's Blessing.
What you felt like.
And this is a permanent loss of your health as well, until you use the item that she gave you, and then you'll also have to rest again at a grace. So if we go look at our inventory, we currently have this. This gives... this uses focus points to temporarily boost poise. Now, we haven't really talked too much about poise yet in this game, but if you're planning on going for a strength build, poise is important, because it does allow you to keep swinging your weapon without being interrupted by enemy attacks. So really important, though, once we start getting more gear, heavier gear typically is going to increase our poise quite a bit. In general, it's not that useful. So I'm going to go ahead and use it so I can get back my full health. There is a mirror next to us, by the way, that you can use for changing your appearance, but I'm actually going to do that at the very beginning of the next episode. And then the last thing we have in here is going to be a shut door, which has the 2 fingers behind it. We'll talk about that when we beat our first real boss. Otherwise, at this point, we're going to go ahead and progress. So we now have a view of, not all of the map, but a big chunk of the map now. And we're going to head over to the Limgrave Tunnels because we are going to work our way up through this area, which is the Murkwater area. And that's how we're going to wrap this episode, I think. So let's go to the Limgrave Tunnels. It's one of the closest graces to where we're going. So what we're about to do is we're about to go into one of the boss fights. There's also our first invasion. You should be doing pretty good on levels at this point. If not, you can certainly use some of the runes. Try not to use all of the runes, however. We have been collecting them for effectively a rainy day. Or you can farm. So just kind of keep the cliff off to your left. As you hit the water bank, just keep it off to your left too. So this is fire grease. It allows us to add fire to our weapon. Anytime you're near an invasion point, you will automatically dismount from torrent, which is actually about to happen. This gives you a couple seconds of warning, and you should prepare yourself. So this guy is pretty hard. You're meant to kill him with the help of another NPC. However, it takes a little while for that NPC to spawn, so we're going to try and avoid this guy as best as possible. He has Reduvia's Dagger, which is basically a weapon that does bleed damage. Bleed damage in this game is super effective. So just kind of circle him. And there is our help.
The end is nigh. For you. And your sis blood.
So he cannot solo him alone, but he will allow us to gank this enemy pretty easily. This enemy also has the ability to heal himself once. So if you can knock him out before he has the ability to use his heal ability, that'll make it easier to kill him. And he's dead. So that's going to give us Reduvia. So I'm not going to demo that weapon since you basically got to see it in action. And Yura's going to teleport away. We're going to head north before we go into the Murkwater Cave. Because Yura is right here.
Thought I am your tarnish. You stay the post. Just remember, don't know your emotion. Perhaps we won't.
So talk until his dialogue repeats. And then we're going to head in here. And we are actually going to clear this area. Because we're going to get an item that's going to be useful against the boss, Margit. So it's worth mentioning, you can kind of see them on the ground there. These are bells. If you alert the enemy, the bells will alert all the enemies that are in here. You don't want that. All right, so there are basically two paths to go. One down there, one down there. Down this one leads to a bunch more of these enemies. And hey, we got some gauntlets. Oh, I had the Traveler's Gloves previously, didn't I? So, for your troubles, there's not much here. This chest has a mushroom in it. Anyway, going inside the other path, this leads to our boss. Which is Patches. This guy is a staple of the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne games. So the best thing to do is, once we open the box here, he's going to come up from over there. We want to get behind him, about here, and we want to backstab him as he falls down. We need to do half of his health, and then he will surrender. Don't keep attacking him whenever he surrenders, because if we accidentally kill him, then we won't be able to use him as a vendor. Granted, you'll get a bell.
Yourself to a man's personal belongings, huh? Pop up your coins, all of
it. Anyway, he'll spew this stuff at you. Otherwise, he's not all that different. Don't use your shield against him, though, because he'll almost always end up doing a stance break against you. So if you just simply stop attacking him, you'll get a golden rune and grovel for mercy.
Finally come round, have you? I knew you would. You're a man of reason. True and true. Well, what do you... Now, how I took you for an innocent... Well, what? A true... I'm Pat.
We'll forgive him, forget him.
In exchange for... Honestly, frankly. So don't... I'll be ready to... No, I'll be ready to...
All right, so we're going to come over here and return to the entrance. And then we're actually going to go back down. If we talk to him now, he will sell us stuff, and there is an item that will make a upcoming boss a good bit easier. Anyway, we're going to go directly to patches this time.
Well, nice of you to all a bit and welcome where you won't need a ring.
So you can talk to him about the bandits.
Pretty hardly. They're all foot work. Well, just something I'm... But then again, and beside...
This time around, do not inspect the... Or do not open the chest. If you open the chest, you will be taken over here where you met that rune bear. Basically where you got the map fragment. Anyway, go ahead and talk to him, and we're going to go ahead and buy Margit Shackle. He's got a lot of other good items too. Harrying Dagger is great, for example, for a dagger-based build.
Cheers for that.
Otherwise, though, I'm going to give myself enough to buy Margit Shackles, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap out this episode. Need 4 more left. Oops. So I need 600 more.
Forgot something. No.
So we've gotten Margit Shackle. And we're going to return to the entrance. And with that, I think that's going to wrap out this episode, everybody. So at this point, we have opened up most of Caelid. And we've gotten basically all of the starter gear that I would recommend. I am going to come here basically at the beginning of the next episode. And then we're actually going to go tackle Margit, who is kind of our first major boss. And kind of the idea is if you can't beat Margit at this phase, you'll go out amongst the rest of the stuff and kill all the things that are in this area. Roughly, West Limgrave is more or less the same level, with a few exceptions. Then East Limgrave is kind of the next up. Then there's the eastern and western sides of the Weeping Peninsula. If you were to complete all of that, you will actually be over-leveled for Stormvale Castle. So I'll leave it to you to kind of decide whether or not you want to over-level. I'm going to plan to tackle at least Margit in the next episode, and then we're going to end up continuing probably to deal with some of the stuff that's inside this area too, before we move on to the Weeping Peninsula. With that, I think that's going to wrap it, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Later.